Hey guys, how are you? I know I've been away for a long time and I'm sorry for that. I've just been busy but not busy, but doing things but not doing anything at all really. So hello and welcome all of my old friends and all of my new subscribers. I can't promise videos on any regularity in the upcoming future, but here it is near the end of September and I thought I'd take a few minutes, put something together and just kind of show you what I have been up to. So let's get started. As you can see, I am in a completely different location than what I have previously filmed. This is the front bedroom at my parents' house where I have been staying on and off for the past little while. I know the last time we spoke we had talked about either me selling my apartment or selling my condo or renting it out to other people. None of that has happened because by the time I had started packing everything up, I was completely and totally overwhelmed with the amount of wonderful, pretty, lovely stuff that I have. I did make some efforts in clearing out some of the stuff that I didn't need. I gave a ton of skinny girl clothes to one of my best friends and she has been enjoying them so much, so it makes me feel good that they went to a new home and are really appreciated. I gave away so many of my books. They all went, either to the library or to the charity shop. Some of those I'm a little sad that I gave away. I think I sorted through all those in a fit of anger because of some crazy stuff from our crazy HOA lady. So some of those books that have been given away, I do miss the feel of them in my bookshelves, so my bookshelves are pretty empty. And I started sorting through kitchen stuff and throwing kitchen stuff away and giving kitchen stuff away, but I was just way too overwhelmed, and it finally has come down to a wait and see sort of thing. See if we have a new HOA president. Supposedly there's supposed to be an election in October because the HOA president is only supposed to serve for a year, but the current president has not called for an election. I really don't know what's up with that, and I probably should. I should care about what's going on in my own little community, but it overwhelms me, it stresses me out, it drives me nuts. I have found that while I have been mostly living here at my parents' house and away from my condo, is if I don't see her car every day or her parking spot or all the little things that just needle and nag me, I'm a lot calmer about it and I can handle a lot better instead of having it in my face every single day. If the background wiggles and wobbles quite a bit, Princess is wandering around. She's rubbing up against the tripod that the camera's on and just, being her usual nuisance self, but since there's no table in front of me, she can't jump up on the table and say hello to you all. She just did a little kitty sneeze. I don't know if you heard that or not. So there she is. So let's see. What do you think we should do first? Shall we do some whips or shall we do some finishes? Let's do whips, because finishes are almost more fun. I have two knitting whips that I have been actively working on, and the first one is Goldfish Memory. This is by Casapinka, and you can see up there I have scribbled across the top of my pattern the colors that I am using for color 1, 2, and 3. Those are all Malabrigo yarns. You can kind of see what this is going to turn out to be. It's a fun pattern with a lot of different stitches and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So let me show you where I am at. I'm about halfway through the project. I have one more down and back on this lace row. It's a super simple lace, and then I will move on to the next section of the pattern. You can kind of see here we have some garter stripes, not garter stripes, some stripes in stockinette. That is the proper word. And then let's see, what are these? These are some garter stripes and some stockinette stripes. And then down here, it's some fun pulled stitches, but I got off count, which is why these first two sections are completely different than the last two sections. I got off count, not really sure what went wrong, but you know, whatever, oh well. This was a fun little section, let's see right here, with these slip stitches. And then you just start off with a whole heck of a lot of garter and doing your colors back and forth and back and forth. When I was selecting my yarn for this project, let me shuffle things around here. Like I said, I didn't get a chair or a table to put in front of me, so it's kind of hard to set things down. Anyway, so when I was selecting my yarns, I was looking at this, with this being the dark, the green in the middle being the medium, and the lighter green to be the light. And when you hold them up together, they look quite, you know, they look different enough. But to my everlasting sadness, there's not nearly enough contrast between the multicolored blue and the darkest of the greens. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. It doesn't look bad. It's not as contrasty as I had hoped it would be in my mind. But it's still a beautiful project, and I am really enjoying it. And I must say, I have really been enjoying this lace section up here, because I get tired of doing lots and lots of stockinette. I mean, that's like 40 rows of stockinette changing color every 2 stitches. Was it every 2? Down and back and change, down and back and change. Yeah, it was it. Down and back and change, and down and back and change. So that's been a lot of work. I work most on that one mostly at lunch on my lunch breaks. It is football season, so I have been doing a lot of work in the one of the ticket booths when we're selling tickets right before a football game. So that's about 4 hours I get to sit and knit and just take care of printer problems as they crop up. And after 2 whole years of having practically 0 problems with the printers while I'm working a football game, this year the printers all have just decided to misbehave, and I don't know what they're doing, but I have printer problems every single time I have to, I'm at a game. Basically, I have to work a game. I enjoy working the games. It's a lot of fun. The students are cute kids. You know, they could be. I'm old enough to be their mother at this point in time. If I had kids, you know, when everybody else in my generation was having kids, I'd be old enough to have a grandma. So, have a grandma. I have a grandma. To be a grandma, I could be a grandma. That frightens me terribly. Anyway, so this has been Goldfish Memories, and I'm going to shut it off and come right back here in another second with the second project that I have been knitting on pretty consistently. The second knitting project that I have been working on fairly consistently has been also by Casapinka. I think she has turned into my favorite designer, and I really, really do enjoy her stuff. This pattern is the Perfect Blend, and it is a mystery cow from this summer, and I am kind of lagging behind, but that's just because I waited until the sale was over before I decided if I was going to knit it up or not. The original mystery knit-along MCAL called for 12 mini skeins, or you could also do it with 4 regular fingering, 100 gram, I'll get it right, 100 gram skeins, or, you know, 1 skein of about 400 yards, not 1 skein. 4 skeins, each skein being about 400 yards, right? Right? Okay, so we've done the math. So either 100 grams, 12 of those. I'm not doing it, you guys. Don't ask me weights and measures. Just don't. You could either do it with 12 mini skeins or 4 full-size skeins. Shall we do that? If I try to do math, it's not going. Anyway, here's my color schematic that I filled out, loosely relating to the colors that I've decided to go with. And of course you can see here what I've chosen, the names of my yarns, what I've chosen to do. So let's show you the yarns, because they're just gorgeous. They're really pretty. So my color number 1, this is Willy Wonka, and it is by a local Utah independent dyer. Candy Shop Yarns is the name of her business, and you can find her online. And so this is color 1. And this is color 2. This is called Lavender Lemonade, and it is also by Candy Shop Yarns. And I purchased both of those back in May when I went up to Farmington to the Great Basin Fiber Festival. So I purchased these together, so I knew they would at least talk to each other or relate very, very well. And so this is a very soft purple, sort of a neutral, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. Do I buy stuff that is not gorgeous? Well, okay, maybe for you, if you hate purple, it's not gorgeous stuff, but I love purple, so it's fantastic. Anyway, so that was colors 1 and 2. So my color 3, this is Miss Mary, Quite Controllery, How Does Your Garden Grow? And is from another Utah local independent dyer. Her name is the Yarnbrary, and I believe she is online as well. I know she's got orders up for the December Advent sets. So you get a whole bunch, like 24 mini skeins that you can open in December. You can either open them all at once or independently or one at a time. You choose. So anyway, the Yarnbrary. So this is my color 2, and I think these just relate so well. This being a purple with hints of pink, and this is a pink with hints of purple, and it's wonderful. And what's really fun about these two dyers is they're sisters. So they have a lovely podcast called Meanwhile at the Castle. I think they only record about once a month, far more often than once a year. So anyway, here they are. They just talk to each other so fabulously. And I bought this in Park City. I was up at Wasatch and Wool, and it was just, in one of the little bins, and it was pretty, and it spoke to me, so it came home to live. So there's that. And then my 4th color is a very, very deep purple. I believe this is called Amethyst, and it is by Marianated Yarns. I picked this up at the Wool Cabin, which is down, it's not Fort Union, it's north of Fort Union. It's about, well, if you're in Salt Lake, it's at about 21st East and 33rd South, that neck of the woods. Look them up online, you'll find them. They have a wonderful shop. I love Wool Cabin, and I love Wasatch and Wools. They're really, really fun little shops. There's also Blazing Needles, and they're in a little tiny house in the middle of Sugar House. They're fun too, and that's where I actually bought my yarns that I'm using for Goldfish Memories. So, marketing aside, let's get into where I am. So, look at all those ends. I'm going to have to weave in all those ends at the end of this. I'm giving myself a project, and I just don't know what to think. Actually, I sort of, if I'm watching TV and the show needs a little bit more paying attention than what I feel comfortable knitting, I'll usually just sit and weave in a few ends. You can actually see down here, let's go, see down here at the bottom, even though they are kind of hanging loose, I have woven in several of these ends. I weave in the ends before I block, but this is not blocked yet, so I haven't trimmed the ends off yet. So anyway, that is a wonderful aside. Let's get this sorted out so I can show you. This is a, let's go this way, a boomerang or an asymmetrical triangle style shawl, and we start down here with our color 4, and we just kind of grow and grow and grow and grow. And the first clue brought us all the way up to this little bit of purple, and it's just so fun, and I love the way the colors are just kind of playing together. Love it, love it, love it. So let's see, then we started in clue 2, and I love the hexagonal pattern that we did here in this color. Super fun. And then I'm not enamored with how my this is mock cables, so it's just using yarn overs and how you either knit two get together or purl two together to make the look of cables. And as you can see, my they're fairly weak and not well defined. I think I would have much preferred to do a full-on cable. The only reason I didn't do that here is because I didn't feel experienced enough to look at what the mock cable was doing and say, okay, if I was going to do this in real cables, this is how it would go. So it's an okay section, but I think I would be much happier with it if it was real cables instead of mock cables. And so that's, I think that was the end of clue, no, this one right here is the end of clue 2. And this last little bit right here, let's turn it around, and so the weight of the shawl helps me out a bit. Anyway, so I've just finished up this section. This is the first section in clue 3, and I really like the way it's knitting up. It's a fun little slip stitch pattern, cute, adorable, fun. Shall I show you my sins? Somewhere in here I messed up the count, so right through here it's a mess. Don't look at that, it's terrible. Don't look at it, I say, as I show it to you. So anyway, that is how my perfect blend is coming out, and I absolutely love the colors. As I was sitting working on a little tiny section of it today in church, I looked down at the carpet in the Relief Society room and noticed that the colors that I have chosen almost match the carpet in the Relief Society room perfectly. The carpet's a little more gray, these are a little more bright, but I'm knitting the carpet, so to speak. So there you are. So that is what I have been knitting. I get to start with the next clue pretty soon. It's gonna be fun, gonna enjoy it, gonna love it a lot. So let me reset and I'll show you the next thing that I've been working on. The last little thing that I have been working on has been Lizzie Kate's Well, yes, I can drive a stick. I've already finished one of these, and it's being made into a small for an exchange because I'm going to Deb and Kef's Snug Harbor Crafts retreat coming up here in three weeks. It should be about, yeah, 3 weeks. Anyway, I am using the called for fabric, which is, it's ale. Double check this. Yep, ale lungana, except I think, nope, I'm definitely using a lungana. Anyway, I'm stitching it again. So here you can see where I'm at in version 2.0. I am using this wonderful thread. This is Rainy Day by, well, mine is from the days when it was Crescent colors, but it's classic Colorworks these days, but it's really the same stuff since they bought the colors and the formulas and everything. So there's that. I really enjoy it. I think Rainy Day is my favorite color of floss ever because of the purples and the pinks and the modeling and the fabulousness. I mean, how can you not love it, right? How can you not? So I'm slowly working on this a little bit here and a little bit there when knitting is not striking my fancy. So I think, I keep saying I don't know what I'll make this into. Actually, it'll probably just go and live in the bin underneath my bed, and that's fine. I get the pleasure out of knitting it. I don't often need or have any desire for the pleasure of putting it on a wall or finishing it into a mug rug or a blanket or what have you. So there is that. My little tiny progress on, yes, I can drive a stick. Alright, knitting finishes, and we'll just sort of do this in little blocks like I did my whips because it's easier to just do a few and then reset the limited amount of space that I have over here and then, you know, go on to the next. It's a little more organized as well. The first thing that I finished was my crown wools, which is a pattern by Casapinka. And if you were down to McKenna's Stitchnanigans, I worked almost exclusively on this pattern project while I was down there. Yes, it's knitting. I went to a cross-stitch retreat and knit, and I think it's probably going to be the same thing when I go to the Snug Harbor Crafts retreat. I might just sit and knit because the Casapinka Perfect Blend Mystery Cal is just, it's so much fun. So I might work on finishing that. Anyway, so here is an overview of my finish for the crown wools. This was created using a 12 packs of the mini skeins, and I bought my skeins from Miss Babs, and you all know how addicted I am to Miss Babs. And I just really enjoyed how some of them were just the right amount of complexity, not super complex, not super easy. You'd go along for a little bit and then you'd change patterns, and you'd go along and you'd change patterns, and that made it such an enjoyable knit for me. I just really, really enjoyed it. I think I did the as called for, the large section. I know some of the sections you could do them slightly smaller, but I did the full-size wrap. It's a big, long, wonderful wrap. This is the same size and shape that Goldfish Memories will be. And like the Perfect Blend Mystery Cowl, this was the mystery from last year. I waited until the cowl was all over and finished with before I decided to knit it, because I'm not super in love with the ideas of mysteries. So I am looking forward very much. I've got all my ends woven in, but not trimmed off. I haven't blocked it yet. I think it's sort of slowly blocked itself a little bit just because of weight, but there are some things that I want to make sure I straighten out. Like a couple edges are a little wobbly, and be able to open up the lace panels so that all the yarn overs and the lacy bits show up really, really well. I loved knitting on this project. It was just so much fun, and I love the slip stitches and the things. And guys, did I just show you the backside of this? Did I go along and just show you? Oh, for Pete's sakes, my friend, for Pete's sake. Let's try this again. Hopefully this is the front side. Yeah, I'm looking at the back side. Okay, this might make a little more sense. This had some baubles. This had sort of a simple lace pattern. This section had some slip stitches. That was kind of fun. Let's see, here we have some more, a little more lacy pattern, slip stitches, kind of here in this section. What are we doing here? More slip stitches, baubles, simple. I modified this one a little bit since I'm not a super fan of garter, so I changed it up. It was supposed to be just straight garter right across, but I made it a little bit of stockinette in between my garter sections. Not as effective as I had hoped it would be, but it still looks good. Anyway, super simple lace. What's going on here? Oh, the basket weave pattern, that's kind of fun. More loopy-doos for easy lace, and this one has baubles on this end. So there you go. Hopefully, now I've shown it to you properly, and I really hope I didn't show you the backside of it the first time through, but I suspect that I might have. Oops. After I finished this, I counted all the yardage for the Summer Stash Dash, which is a fun little knit-along done by the Knit Girls over on Ravelry. They host it in their Ravelry group. I just decided to do the very small 3K was my distance, and I met it with this project and that project, and there's one more to show you. I also knit a stocking head hat for my best friend. She has it, so I don't have it here to show you, but it just turned out really, really pretty with the yarn that she chose from my stash, and it worked out really, really good. So that's Crown Wools shown, and the sock hat talked about. Let me reset and get you the next project. The next knitting project that I worked on and finished is Albuquerque Sunset. It's another pattern by Casapinka. Surprise! Anyway, this was a super easy two-colored shawl. It was up on the dress form just a minute ago. It was basically, what do I want to say? Variations on a super simple slip stitch. So I used Malabrigo yarn in this one, which is the same type of yarn that I am using in the Goldfish Memories. And the lightly taupey, so it's sort of a gray, sort of a taupe This beautiful neutral is called Pearl, and then my blue color is called Wales Road, and it is a wonderful variegated with blues and purples and a little flash of pinks here and there, so you can totally understand why that color spoke to me. But anyway, this is also a boomerang shaped shawl. There's a sneeze coming on, so I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. As I was saying, this is Albuquerque Sunset, a boomerang shaped shawl. This will be the same shape that my Perfect Blend shawl will be when it gets finished. This was kind of a fun one. You start up here in the taupes, and you can see the texture start to develop with the first instance of that slip stitch pattern that I mentioned earlier. And then you add in the blue and modify and do the same slip stitch pattern, but because of the colors you slip and which ones you knit, it makes it different from when you're doing the similar thing down here. Same stitch, different what's-its. I know, what's-its, such a technical term. Anyway, so here's, the second little section and a little transition. And I love this section here where you get lots and lots of the Wales Road. You can see the purples and the blues, and they just fade into each other, and you understand why I might love that yarn so much. And then I did a little more of the slip stitch pattern, alternating the purple and the taupe quite a bit. And then down here at the end is a really simple lace pattern, and once it blocks out, it'll be really, really pretty. So I've woven all the ends in, I haven't blocked it out. My mom is the expert blocker, and since she's in Brazil, I've been too timid to actually try it myself. She has taught me how to do it and showed me what I need to do. I'm just a little bit afraid of doing it all by myself. I shouldn't be. It's a simple process. She's shown me how to do it. I should just do it. But yep, like the other ones, ends are woven in but not trimmed until I block it. This is a really pretty one. It's going to be fun. This lace, it's going to grow so much once the lace has been all blocked out. Put it on, turn that under. So this will be, I'm looking forward to being able to wear that this winter as it comes on. Maybe not winter itself, but being able to wear all the knit things again will be just wonderful. So this is my Albuquerque Sunset. There will be more details for all of my projects on my Ravelry page, and I'll put my Ravelry name in the comments box, the details box below. So that's this one. Let's reset for the next thing that I've worked on. The last thing that I've been knitting on, that I finished, is Serene, also by Casapinka. Don't be surprised. And here's the details on that. The little pattern, it doesn't give you anything that you can knock off by showing you that much. And let's see, I knit this with Miss Babs. Yummy 2 Ply was the name of the base, and the color was Somersault. Now, Somersault was one of her limited colors. She has limited colors all the time. They just go up and go away, and come up and go away, and they're mostly colors that she can't repeat. So if you see one that you like, buy it. But on the other hand, while one may come up that is not necessarily named Somersault, the exact same thing as this, often similar colors come up. So you can kind of keep your eye out, and if you saw one that you really, really liked but you weren't able to grab at the time, just keep your eye out, keep waiting, and something really super similar is likely to appear again. Anyway, this is also a boomerang shaped shawl. I know, I've done like 3 of them. Well, 2 completed and then 1 on the needle. So 3 boomerang shaped shawls, just one right after another, bang, bang, bang. What can you do? I must enjoy that shape quite a bit. I really enjoy this trapezoidal shape over here too. Anyway, so this is a super textured stitch. It kind of reminds me of mermaid scales. It's just super pretty. I had two skeins of the somersault, and so for a while I just worked the one skein all by itself, and then kind of here in the middle I started blending in the second skeins because I noticed that they were very much not exactly the same. So I started blending them together, you know, one skein down and back, second skein down and back, one, you know, back and forth. And then along about here, I know because I can see the tail, I ran out of my first skein, and so the rest of it is completely the second skein. And I kept going and kept going and kept going, and I was just weighing my yarn as I went along because I didn't want to have a lot left over. And I added about 40 more rows of the pattern, so one row is down, one row is back. So 40 more rows to the pattern, and then I just had the seed stitch to bind off, except I was so excited to get it done, you guys. So excited. I just really wanted to have it off the needles and wear it, and, you know, just, well, okay, just, you know, have it around and wear it, and just, I'm so excited. So I actually shortened the seed stitch section by 6 rows, something like that. So this should be longer, but this part is much longer than called for. So I did have yarn left over, a little bit more than I really wanted to, but it is what it is. I suppose I should join the crowd and have a scrap project going, but I don't know that I really want to have a scrap project going. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, so this is Serene, also by Casapinka, and likewise I've woven in all the ends, but I haven't blocked it, so I haven't trimmed the ends off. I really want to see where the size of the shawl ends up before I trim off the my woven end ends, just to make sure that they don't work themselves out and are little fuzz balls on the front. So there you go. Love it. Alright, all the randomness and all the news and all the silliness. I have notes. I tried to make notes. There's things on there that have happened that I didn't make notes because I made the notes about a month ago. Anyway, so the past adventures. Let's look at July, shall we? I worked the 4th of July show. It was really quite good. 8 hours of knitting, more or less, while I sat in the ticket booth and was prepared to help out with any of the printer issues. Luckily, we didn't have very many. Maybe 1 or 2, so that was very much a win. Who played? I don't even remember who played, you guys. It's September, and I don't remember who played our 4th of July show back just, a couple months ago. I don't know. It was somebody. It was a country singer. That's why I don't remember, is because I'm not a country fan, and so it's just, some country dude. I hope it was good. People seem to like it. The one frustrating thing about that show that I do recall is I was out in the ticket booth a lot longer than normal, and by the time the headliner started to sing, we were finally able to close up and go into the stadium, and we get food vouchers so that we can get us a meal for, you know, being stuck in the ticket booth for 8 hours. So they do provide a voucher too, so we can get some food, but concessions had all closed up. There was no food to be had by the time we were able to finish up. Really quite a bummer. We do have a new head of concessions, so I'm not sure if he didn't know. It's his first year, so I'm not sure if he decided to have everybody close up early or exactly what was going on. It is what it is. But the 4th of July show was pretty good. I went in, saw there was no food, and just went home. I didn't stay for the concert. I didn't stay for the fireworks. I just went home because that's how big of a humbug I am when I am tired. Mark that off. following week, also July, we had a work meeting up in Logan, Utah at Utah State University as part of the IVAM, which is a venue managers professional group. And they always talk about really interesting stuff, this and that, how to manage your thing. That month's program was how to empower and support women in your venues, and not necessarily, it was really focused on do not bring men down to lift women up. It was we all rise together. We all, if we help and lift and rise, it really is a beneficial thing. So anyway, that was really quite a good meeting, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, I graduated from Utah State University in accounting 100 bajillion years ago, and I have a friend who is up in Idaho, so I took a gamble and sent him a text and said, hey, I'm going to be in Logan at thus and such time, and I should be done at 2. Do you want to come down and we can hang out and catch up and do the things? And he said yes. And so after our very interesting IAVM meetings, I get to meet with my friend, and so we wandered all over campus and had the reminiscences, got some ice cream and poked around and talked like you do, dinner and more talking, and then it was time to go home, except we kept talking, so it was very, very late by the time both of us got home. But it was super wonderful to reconnect with him, and I still keep seeing him, so I'm kind of glad I took the gamble and sent that text. It had been quite a while since we'd seen each other. Let's see. Also in July, my department had a department get together. No, it had to have been August. It had to have been August. The departmental get together. Everybody. Get prepared for the new school year is basically what it was. And, team building games, raffles and prizes, and just, you know these things. So that was up at Aspen Grove, which is a summer camp aimed at families. And I know it exists, but I, never really thought about it. But one of the interesting things is my mother's brother and all of his kids and their spouses and all of their kids happened to be up at Aspen Grove at the same time. So I went to the morning session of classes and games and hoopla, and then at lunch I abandoned my department and I went and I hung out with my extended family for the rest of the afternoon. And it was so much fun catching up with my cousins and seeing all their little kids. So my cousinlets, my nephew and niecelets, I don't know. They were cute, lots of cute kids. And we went down to the wood turning yurt, and we turned bits of wood to make pins, and just it was fun. It was great to see my family, great to chat with them and get all caught up. So that happened in August. Extended family, Aspen Grove, yep. Completely lots of fun. Let's see, what else has been going on? My friend has been down to see us again in July and again in August. Plus he came down for FanX, which is the Salt Lake City comic convention, except we can't use Comic Con because one of the organizers of FanX is kind of a jerk and made San Diego Comic Con really, really mad. There were lawsuits and everything else, and so now we're FanX. Anyway, so my buddy came down for FanX, and he was going to go all 3 days, and I just bought a Saturday ticket because I was working, and I don't have unlimited supply of vacation days like sometimes you do, especially if I'm hoarding them for some of the upcoming projects that are going on. Anyway, so my buddy and I, we hung out at FanX and had a great time. He had an adventure coming down. His car decided to give up on him when he got into town, so he spent some time Friday sorting that out, and it was determined that the price to repair the car was not worth what the car was, exponentially more than what the car was worth. So the car sat here for about a week and a half while he returned to Idaho, got the title, came back down, took care of the car, and gone back up, and that's the craziness. So in my upcoming things, I'm going to Idaho next weekend to hang out with him and see him. So that'll be lots of fun. Kind of excited. Not gonna lie. All right. So that is that. Well, and then yep, Comic-Con. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. I don't know if many of you have met Toby. I'll insert a picture here-ish. Because Toby and the cat, they like to watch me when I record these things, and I did record one earlier, but my my video editing software, there we go, my video editing software has pooped out on me. So I've taken some time to do a little bit of research to try to figure out what's available and what I could use. Luckily, through my job at the university, I have access to all the programs on the Adobe Cloud, so I'm going to learn how to hopefully edit this in Premiere, and hopefully it's not going to take a year and a day and forever and forever. And you might see this before I leave for Idaho. Hopefully I will get it posted soon. It's not going to be today, but hopefully soon. Anyway, so Toby got really, really sick. What happened is he had an abscess in his tooth. I'm pointing over here when it was really his right. And he quit eating, and so we kind of nursed him along, called his usual vet, but they were super busy, and it would be like, I think we called his regular vet on Friday, but they wouldn't be able to see him until Wednesday. And so when he started to refuse to eat, now this is a dog who is completely and totally food motivated. Anyway, he refused to eat, so we got him some soft food. So he would eat his canned soft food, and then it actually got to the point where he didn't want to eat the canned soft food. So my sister, mixed it up with a little bit of water and blended it up until it was kind of a dog food slush. Well, not even a slush, because that implies that it's cold, and not a milkshake, because milkshake would be thick with milk. No, it was blended up dog food with enough water. It was kind of disgusting, my friends. But he would sort of eat that, and then it got to the point where he would not eat that and barely drink, barely move, and his poor face was just swollen out to here. And so we took him there's an emergency vet. They only have hours, after hours. So they open up at 8 at night and close at like 6 or 7 in the morning. And took him down there, and their website says we do surgery, we've got all this equipment, we can do blah, 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 blah. The only thing they cannot do is dental. And what's ridiculous too is they looked at Toby and said, well, we don't see anything. My sister, went to med school, has plenty of experience, with human anatomy, but dog anatomy, while different, is not vastly different than human anatomy. So she's like, no, I'm pretty sure that that's an abscess tooth, and the tooth needs to come out, and we need the antibiotics to really trump down on the disease or the bacteria and really, get after this thing before it kills the dog. So the emergency vet basically says, well, we don't know what it is, but here's an antibiotic, and we gave him a shot for pain, and here's some other stuff for pain. So Sunday, after we'd gone to the emergency vet, he was doing okay, but we think it was just 100% painkiller. You can't feel anything, so you're feeling pretty good. And then Monday, he was feeling kind of iffy, but it really looked like once the painkiller wore off, he just had, just downhill again. So Leanne called up our vet on Monday and just, begged and please let me bring my dog in. So they agreed to see him on a Tuesday. So she took him in, they looked at it, did the things, yep, abscess tooth needs to come out. And they're like, well, what do you think? I've got, our regular vet was like, well, I have time for surgery, like next week. And my sister's going, no, my dog is miserable. His face is swollen like 3 times its normal size. He's not eating. He just lays on his bed and mopes all day long. And if your tooth hurt too, I'm sure you would as well. And so they squeezed him in on, I think it was Thursday that he finally had his tooth out. And as we're going along through this thing, it was kind of one of those things where this should not kill my dog. but it might. So that was the excitement with Toby. How it's been almost a month since his tooth surgery, and he's finally starting to feel himself again. He doesn't open his mouth as wide as he used to, so he doesn't like to catch balls or play tug with his toys anymore. But we're slowly feeding him like larger chunks of food, because if we just feed him his food, he just kind of slurps it up so he doesn't have to chew. And it's probably just left over from the surgery. It used to hurt, it might hurt still. Whereas, you know, with a human, we could kind of rationalize with him and say, you know, it's going to hurt, but you really need to exercise your jaw, you know, open up wide so that you'll be able to continue to open it up wide. So we've been feeding him larger chunks of soft food, kind of forcing him to open his jaw a little bit wider and a little bit chewier. But he's starting to be his old, usual, perky self again, and not Mr. lays in a dog bed and just stares at us all day, every day, all day, sort of thing. So it's nice to see the dog coming back to life. Well, let's do a little WoW news. I know some of you do play WoW, so those of you who are aware, who do play WoW, you'll know that Blizzard has released World of Warcraft Classic, which is basically their very first expansion that they released 15 years ago, with very, very few mods. I think they ironed some stuff out, removed some bugs, but it's basically the original game from back in the day. And everybody has gone crazy over this game. They love it. It's playing well. My friend and I have started, sorry, a fellow's walking by the front window with a kid in a stroller, so that's distracting. Everything's distracting. WoW Classic. So my buddy and I, we've been playing a little bit. I started out as a druid, thinking that I'd kind of go a hybrid, part caster, part healer, which has been working out so far pretty good. He has several characters. For the most part, he's been playing a warlock when I'm on, but the other night he switched over to his warrior, a tank. So, you know, I've got tank and a healer, and we destroy some things. But sometimes the things destroy us because the game is hard. It's not at all what the current retail version is like. And I have learned that these games are both really fun, but they're so different from each other. But I will say that I have been having a blast running around in Classic with my buddy, my friend, and it's fun, having a grand old time, you know, killing all the little baddies and often being killed by the baddies, because that's what you do. We're playing on Pagel, if you want to come and join us. I forgot what I was going to say. Doesn't matter. Anyway. So that's what's going on with WoW Classic. In retail, I am still with a raid team. We cleared Heroic Eternal Palace in about 6 weeks, which is pretty much on pace for your average band of players. And we've been facing the roster boss ever since, so we have not been able to poke our toes into Mythic, which is kind of a bummer because we keep clearing the heroic raid and I'm bored. I don't alt a lot, so I don't have different characters that I can go and play, and this is something new and this character needs stuff. I have one character, I play that character, and I'm bored. I'm bored clearing Eternal Palace on heroic over and over and over again. And so my main team, we're having problems with the roster boss, so I'm trialing with another team who also does Mythic casual, and they're facing the same problems with the roster boss, but I don't know why. Well, the reason why we don't just combine these two teams, because we're on the same server, is because one team is a late night team and one team is a regular time o' day type team. So that's what's going on there. I don't know if my main team is going to fall apart or stick together. I don't know if I'll trial in enough and be accepted to the new team, so it's a lot of WoW. And honestly, WoW has been consuming most of my crafting time at home. I'm kind of hoping that my teams will just call a hiatus and then I can go back to sitting in front of the computer and knitting. Actually, it probably won't happen. What will happen is I'll be spending more time in Classic with my buddy. That's what's going to happen. Alright, things that are coming up. Things that I am looking forward to. The first weekend in August is Stitches SLC, which is put on by a big overarching company. They put on Stitches West, which is in California. They put on Stitches Midwest, and there's one they do in the South. I forget the name of it. Anyway, they put on several large knitting type events. Think of it like a Comic-Con, only for knitters. So there's vendors with all sorts of yarns and bags and bowls and knit markers and just all sorts of stuff, plus a couple of classes. And I'm taking a couple classes. So I'm taking one on learning basic brioche. There's a class that I will be taking learning how to do the perfect pickup. So if you've got a couple different panels, I suppose it's useful when you're adding your sleeves onto the body of a sweater. You pick up a bunch of stitches so you can start stitching those together. So I'm taking that class. That should be interesting. And then there's another class I'm taking. What is it? Oh, it's about different bindings, bind-offs, and cast-ons. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking very, very forward to seeing Anne of the Fiber Friends. Nope. Fiber Fiction. And I watch you every time you put up a video, but for some reason your name is not coming to mind of your podcast. Floss, Fiber, Floss, Fiction, Fiber, Floss. Those 3 words are in the title of her thing, and I'll just put it here when I'm editing, if I can figure out how to do it. It's new editing software, or just description box below. Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing Anne again. She's teaching at the conference. I met her at Stitches. Nope, I met her at Stitch Nanigans. We had a good time chatting, and we went off to a yarn store, and it was fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing Anne again. So that is Stitches SLC. That's coming up here the first weekend of October. So that's what, 2 weekends away? Wow, so soon. And then after that, another 2 weeks, is the Snug Harbor Crafts retreat called Stitch West, which, not to be confused with the big Stitches West, which is a yarn show that's held in San Jose. But anyway, so the Snug Harbor Crafts, oh my goodness, I'm talking in circles. Snug Harbor Crafts retreat is coming up, and that'll be in Farmington. I'm looking forward to going to that very much so. That'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing. However, Saturday is homecoming for the football team, so I know I'll probably have to leave the retreat early to get back down to Provo to go to work. Yay. So that's coming up. I'll probably knit. I have completed my small, but I gave it to my best friend Lisa to finish off into. I just told her, do whatever you want to with it. So she is doing whatever she wants to with it, and I don't have the mental space to actually think about finishing anything in any creative way. I seriously thought about dropping out of the Smalls Exchange and just saying, you know what, I can't. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it this time. So that is everything there. And then the 1st of November, I will be headed back up to Idaho to spend some time with my buddy. So that's that. Can I say that's that many times? Yes, I can. All right. So hopefully this will be able to get up and edited in not too long of a time span. Today is September 22nd, just because you guys like to know that. Thank you for everybody who has stuck around while I've just kind of been off on my hiatus doing whatever I feel like. Hasn't been anything exciting, you guys. We'll see. I can't promise when I'm going to put up a next one, how soon that's going to be, when, if, or at all. Just is. Thanks for sticking around, my friends. Thanks for coming by for a visit. I hope you all have a very, very good week until I see you again. Remember, one step forward, one step up. We can make a change and we can make a difference. Hugs and stitches, everybody. Bye.